I got excited about the word charge. I don't remember who suggested it to me, but it has so many different meanings that I felt overwhelmed by it. And I was like, I don't have any stories because there's too many. So my story has nothing to do with the word, theme-wise, but the word is like the entire part. I guess I'll just tell you this story. But it starts with this, I'm going to give you a little series of ex-boyfriends. And the first thing you need to know is how my dad reacts to boyfriends. Start by knowing this, he has 6 daughters. But he is absolutely not the kind of guy who, when a guy comes and picks me up for a date, he doesn't like go to the door and say, who is this? Instead, like, I was dating a guy named Brian for a couple of years, and he was with us. He was celebrating Christmas with my family for the second time. Second Christmas with Brian, and my dad said, who is this? So that's how in tune he is with who I date. That's his clue, that's his investment. I could date anyone, pretty much. He doesn't know, so he can't care. So, second half of this story is called Realizing That I'm a Woman Now, instead of a girl. It's a really big moment, you guys. So, I'm going to start with the woman on part of the story, and then we'll go back to girlhood. So when I realized I was a woman, I was like, one thing that women do is choke. One thing women do is date men. So I had no problem when this guy, I was 21, he was 33, sure, no problem with that, because I'm a woman, and it made sense, didn't it, Kate? She was there. She tried to stop me, but the thing was, he was one of those guys who looked really good on paper. He like played in his church band like a nerd. He was very good, really good looking, you guys. Like really good looking. He owned his own house and a couple of cars and a boat. And like, I lived in a dorm with a girl named Olivia, and I drove a Volvo 240 wagon, which is the size of 2 cars. So I thought we were kind of even. And the thing is, he is the most horrible human being I've ever dated in my life, by far. Or ever even thought about dating in my life. He was a monster. And he told me I was, I don't know, horrible and ugly and stupid. And if Caitlin isn't important, of course Caitlin's important. She's my friend. He was awful, but he was very charming, so my parents loved him. But before they loved him and before I hated him, I had to convince my parents that it was okay that I was about to be dating my former teacher. So, not like a real teacher, I never called him Mr. Somebody, he was just like my guitar teacher. So unacceptable. But the way I went about proving his angel goodness was that there was a picture of him in the Batavia Daily News teaching piano to a blind person. What a beautiful soul! And my parents ate it up, and my dad was like, alright, like, whatever. That's how he reacts to them, and it was fine. And after like 2 weeks of dating him, they let their little 21-year-old baby girl go to New York City for a week with this man, guys. This is where my dad is. So let's go back. That newspaper thing was so perfect because it was contrary. It was the exact opposite of the time my last boyfriend had been in the newspaper. Yeah, when I was a girl, you know, and I dated boys. I had been with Ryan for when Ryan and I first started dating, he had just broken up with heroin and ecstasy and cocaine all at once. He had a lot of exes to deal with, and then there was human heroin right here, this. And he started probation and he was clean on probation in 2.5 years, and he was with me for exactly about 2.5 years. Just kind of, heroin was available again, and he jumped back on her. Like the slut that she is, you guys. But we kind of did this back and forth thing, like he was like, I still love you, and I was so dramatic, and I was like, we're gonna get married, right? Heroin can come, I don't care, like we're in love. But then, he almost died, or technically did die for a second, and had to come back, and I got this call. I was at work at 5 in the morning, watering flowers like I did, and he said, hey, just want to say I love you, and you probably won't hear from me for about a month. And I was like, okay. Sure, I mean, where I had to go, and then I heard the rest from his mom, and it was what it was. And I'm joking. I realized he would be in the newspaper, and I had to get to that before my parents did, like every newspaper in Genesee County. I had to take it away from my parents. So I was looking through it, and I was reading, and it said, this is the moment I become a woman. It said, 22-year-old Wyoming County man charged. And I stopped reading because I was like, 22-year-old man? He's a little boy. Have they seen him? These people, they don't know. If they think Brian is a man, I don't care if he's 22 and a double, triple felon now. He's my little boyfriend, and if he, come on in. If he's a man, I must be a woman. Right? It makes sense to me, and eventually we broke up for non-heroin related reasons, and I started dating a man, which also